Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Shane and I are back for another Survivor What If interview. This is a really exciting one. We have who many consider one of the biggest Survivor know-it-alls from Survivor Tocantins and Second Chance, Steven Fishbach. Steven, welcome to the Tribe of Nerds.
Thank you. I've been calling myself a Survivor know-it-all for a long time. So yeah, I mean, hopefully people think that way of me. I mean, only because I've been telling them they have to.
Exactly.
How dare you, Tribe of Nerds? Are you saying I'm a nerd?
Of course.
We're all nerds here.
No, I really loved your interviews, guys, so far. I was just telling them before we recorded that I was watching the one with Terry Dietz, and like for like years before Cambodia ever happened, like I'd been talking to Terry about like, oh, someday they're gonna do brains versus bronze, and we'll be back, and like, oh, you and me, and like certainly before it aired, we were chatting. Like if he was on a flight that like hit New York, I would see him. And then on your podcast, he's talking about all the people he would align with. If he'd gone further, I wasn't even in the list. I wasn't even like the top 10. I was like devastated. That's how I find out. Terry, you broke my heart.
Yeah, unfortunate. Yeah, so we're here to talk about What If, Steven, and I know you have thoughts on the What If concept as well. So I mean, what are your general thoughts on What If as it pertains to Survivor?
Yeah, I mean, truly, when I I felt like that on Tocantins. That was like, I bumped my elbow on Exile Island. And then like my elbow swells up and I can't be physical in the challenges.
Wow. And
as a result, because I was always like, people might not have this impression of me, but I was always like the guy whose job was to tackle Tyson, and so like, I'm not like a coordinated guy, but like certainly back in Tocantins era, I was like maybe like 20 pounds bigger than I am now. And like, I could just like tackle Tyson. That was my job. And so then like Tyson, like Tambira wins all these challenges in a row. We're down, 3-6 at the merge. And it works out great for us. But like, what if I don't bump my elbow? What if it doesn't swell up? What if I can be, we look, cause we're losing these challenges like by a point. And like, it really felt like every little twist felt like suddenly it like branched out in 1,000 ways. It's like this, like something about Survivor specifically with all these like tiny inputs happening all at the same time just felt like this like intense crucible of fate, where like every little thing like branches off, and like you guys are talking about some of the really big things, so those are big branches for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll ponder the question of the Survivor multiverse. So Steven, your first What If scenario is from Tocantins, and we saw that you and Taj had an Exile Island alliance with Brendan and Sierra. So what if instead of going with JT, you and Taj decide to go with Sierra and Brendan at the merge? How does this play out in Survivor Tocantins?
Well, I think ultimately, I mean, jumping to the end, I think it plays out with Brendan winning, to be quite honest with you. And that was always like why I didn't like that alliance, was because it felt like Brendan created it. Brendan had Sierra, Brendan really had Taj, and I was like guy number 4, so right. No one's given the $1 million to guy number 4. They didn't give it to me either the way I played, but it felt like it was a non-starter. I really felt like I had to go out and start an alliance of my own. Like, and that was kind of why I wanted to be the link between Taj and Jay, you know, me and Taj, me and JT, me and Aaron. You know, I wanted to be like the center of my alliance so that when I did get to the end, I could say like, hey, I built this alliance. Nobody really cared to hear that at the time, but I could say it. Yeah, I mean, I think with the Exile Alliance, you know, so I mean, you want to game it out a little bit. So
Yeah.
So that's okay. So we've got me, Brendan, Sierra, and Taj, and then that's going into the merge, right? So obviously, like against us. So is JT against us in that situation? Like with Tyson and Coach and Debbie.
Yeah, I mean, if I think
Aaron, we gotta have 5. 4's not such a hot number with 9.
Right, exactly. So I mean, Joe still gets medevac, so it's either you guys have JT or Aaron, or
I think we pull JT in that circumstance because also like even at the time I really did feel like there were these two paths, you know, like when JT, Taj, and I got to the merge, it felt like on the one hand we had this Exile Alliance, and on the other hand, you know, Coach and Tyson were kind of like running up to us to like be our friends, and I think we just like liked Coach and Tyson more. And Brendan was very aloof. He just kind of felt like, you know, the dragon that we all wanted to slay, to coin a phrase. And so like it did, like that was part of it. It was just like almost like vibe based. I mean, Coach is, you know, Coach at the time got a very bad rap, but he was delightful. Coach was a delightful character to like, and Tyson obviously is like one of the funniest survivors ever. So, but so we're saying we didn't choose any of that. We're like, screw those guys. You know, I think we probably vote out. So Tyson, I mean, there's still the same immunity challenges, right? Like, Tyson still wins that first immunity challenge, so we don't vote him out there. I mean, here's going to be the problem for us. Like, the one challenge we did win was like when we got Tyson out was the shuffleboard challenge, and he almost won that one. You know, so like I think there's a world where Tyson does win that if he knows his neck is on the line. And Tyson like beasts out, you know, like where is Tyson losing? You know, which challenge is Tyson losing to? Maybe he loses at the final 5, which was the, you know, the challenge. So that's probably where we finally are able to knock out Tyson. And then, you know, final 4, Brendan, was that crazy maze? I actually was very close on that crazy maze. I think I could have pulled that off. Maybe I vote out Brendan there and win the game against Taj and Sierra. Is that a possibility? Yeah, honestly, like that's not an impossibility for me. Like I was very close on that challenge. But if Brendan wins that, then he wins Survivor.
Yeah, it is interesting too in the timeline that Brendan on the show basically decides to give up his game to try to get JT to win. So
he among many. There were just so many out there who had that goal in mind. It made it very hard to operate, you know, with literally everybody throwing away their. Debbie said she wanted JT to win. Aj said she wanted JT to win. Well, she wanted like me and JT to win, which really meant JT was going to win. You know, it was not a. It was you know, when half the cast is actively playing for the person who's both your ally and your rival, it's tricky. No real good opportunity to turn on JT.
Right.
So were you like cognizant of that while the season was happening? You're like, okay, I can see that everyone really wants JT to win and give up their game. Like, I need to go with him to a certain point and then cut him. And it just got to the point where you couldn't because he won immunity.
Yeah. I mean, that was 100%. I mean, that was 100% the case. Like, you know, people are like, well, why didn't you make this plan? Or why didn't you say this to that person? Like, if I had even like whispered about, you know, potentially wanting to turn on JT, there would have been 4 people who've been like, JT, you got to get Fishbach out now. And they were not choosing me in that, you know, war. They were all like, if they're actively playing for him to win, they're not choosing, you know, the rat Fishbach in that back and forth. So, I mean, I truly believe, and I've been saying this for 15 years, 17 years, that my position at the Final 4 was ideal, where I had, you know, Final 4 group. I have final 2 deals with everyone. I am going to the final 2. And then 2 of them I can beat. And then there's one guy left who's the biggest threat, who everyone wants to vote out. So it just happened that guy won the last 2 immunity challenges. But I do truly believe that my position at Final 4 like was exactly the position you would want at Final 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah, so if it gets to that, and like, let's say in that final immunity challenge, you or Aaron win. Obviously, it seems like JT goes there. Is it pretty much like a blowout against Aaron? Like, was she kind of having an uphill battle with that jury?
Yeah, that was going to be a tough jury. I mean, I do think she might have gotten Taj's vote, as Taj said in her exit, you know, words. If you remember that, she was like, you know, Aaron, if you managed to get to the end, you got my vote. I think Taj would have honored that, actually. I think, but like, Kimbira hated Aaron because they always saw her as a turncoat. And even like after we were voted out, you know, like Coach and Debbie would come up to me and be like, I understand why you voted me out, but why did you vote me out before Aaron? You know, and like no fault of Aaron's, who had been ostracized very early. Aaron was like a lovely human being, was like really ostracized quite early in that group for whatever reason. I mean, maybe because she was allied with Candace and like they didn't like something about Candace. I don't know. It felt like very arbitrary and reductive. That she was, you know, so like out of the gate ostracized. But like for whatever reason, she was kind of like, you know, the one they didn't like. And there always was that one on Survivor. And like that, actually going into it, I was like, you got to find the one they don't like and make friends with that one. You know, like having watched Rob play Amazon, like that was his power, right? Was finding those people who nobody liked and then bringing them together and being the centerpiece of that alliance.
Absolutely. And it's a great strategy to pick up the bottom feeders and ping pong between alliances. So,
well, up to a point.
Yeah.
Shane, what's the next scenario?
All right. So yeah, let's move on. So you wait a few years, you finally get your second chance, and you find, I believe, second StealAVote, because Dan Foley found the first one.
No, Dan's was an extra vote.
Yeah,
Mine
extra.
was
Okay, so yours is the first.
I was really
vote.
breaking new Survivor ground there.
Yeah, so first StealAVote, and you decide to split it and use one on Abby, one on Joe, and ultimately you go home that night. If you play the StealAVote differently, how do you think the game shakes up here?
I thought I played it perfectly. Okay, listen, Shane and Jake. There's a lot of good reasons why I did it the way I did. I'll humor you and show you how I, everyone, when Savage was voted out, everyone was like, why didn't these idiots split the vote? And then when I'm voted out, they're like, oh, why did those idiots split the vote? You know, you're like you only know what happened in retrospect. And of course, like you watching the episode, you know, leading up to it, what's about to happen because it's edited to show us. But at the time, first of all, with the Savage vote, I truly believe that if we split the vote, I would have been the one going home there. I thought because I had come upon Savage, talking to a bunch of people, whispering. And when I walked over to them, everyone stopped. And I was like, oh, that's my name's out there. So I think if we had split the vote and put then there would have been enough for a little block to vote me out there. And I think that very much could have happened. I ran scenarios with Spencer. Sorry, now Ryman, at the time Spencer Bledsoe, all day for that vote where we split the vote. We calculated every single possibility, and we were pretty sure that Joe had an idol. That was the thing. We wanted Joe out, and I knew that it was so important to my story because I'd been talking about Joe so much. I was like, I have to get Joe out because then I get my checkbox at the end of the season. I mean, yes, I was fixated on Joe, but honestly, a lot of it was just this sense of there's so much of everybody's narrative in that season. There was this real awareness of this is second chance. You have to fulfill your second chance. And so my thought was I vote Joe out. Then hey, I fulfilled my second chance. I did it. You got to give me the prize now. And it's interesting. I do think losing themes kind of lost that. I mean, as corny as some of those themes were, they really did drive a lot of the discourse, David versus Goliath. What does it mean to be a David? It's a very silly conversation, but it's interesting in the way it gets into people's heads. But where was I? Okay. So we had just talked it to death of and then what if this person goes this way and this person goes this way? Every single scenario I had prepared for, except the one where Ryman is actively trying to vote me out, never crossed my mind. Jeremy came up to me, was I don't think we should trust Spencer. And I was like, no, there's just no way, why on earth would he choose them over us? That doesn't make sense. So anyway, that's why we did it the way I did. Now, I have relived that moment so many times. I have tried to will myself back into that voting booth and put 2 votes on Abby a billion times. I if I could if I had some kind of Life is Strange time warping power, that's what I would do. I would probably that would be it. Go back and vote, put 2 votes on Abby there, because I guess we would not have had the votes on Joe, right? Because I think Ryman was a Joe vote. So I think I would have had to put votes on Abby there for it to and when Ryman was in the voting booth, even then I knew he took a lot more hand strokes than Joe. There was a lot of a lot more movement going on there than writing Joe. I really should. There were like the signs. I could have picked up on the signs. And then at Tribal Council, when I pulled out my StealAVote, I think you may remember, I've recounted this before, but Ryman told Keith, like, stick to the plan. And I was like, yeah, stick to the plan, because Keith was so like everyone was telling Keith to stick to the plan, but they were like all very different plans. So I didn't necessarily realize what the plan was. And Joe had his, Joe had been like playing dead all day as though he was going home. So there was I should have had like I should have sniffed it out. Anyway, so let's say I vote out Abby there. That could be, I gotta look at this. I should have pulled up the cast list now. I should have pulled up the cast list beforehand just to remember exactly what.
Because if you put the 2 votes on Abby, assuming everyone else voted the same, it would have been 4-4-1 because Jeremy had the one on Joe. Unless Jeremy also put on Abby, then you would have had 5-4 Abby, and she goes.
But on the revote, we would have had the numbers because my vote for Joe, my Joe vote. Well, this is the other reason it couldn't be on Joe.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you guys are aware of this, but and I really clarified this like obsessively beforehand how exactly it would work on a revote, which was that the vote would essentially function as Joe's vote. Okay. So if Joe was eligible to vote, then I would get it on a revote. If Joe is not eligible to vote, which would have been the case if Joe was the tie, then it would not be then I could not use it. So I would have had to really put the votes on Abby. It would have to stack votes on Abby. But I would have had that Joe vote. So we would have won on a revote because it would have been me, Jeremy, Joe, Tasha and Kimmy voting against whatever or I guess I would not have been voting because the tie would have been on me, but it would have been 4-3 in that situation. Yeah. So Abby goes home then. Suddenly I know Spencer's a rat. Ryman is a rat. Then I think that he's probably the next. Who won the next challenge?
Wasn't it Keith and no? I'm trying to because it was a man and a woman.
That was actually the one where Joe went home, and I think that was the Keith one. Yeah.
So it was Kelly and Keith.
Yeah. Wentworth. Yeah.
So probably Joe goes home there, or Ryman goes home there. And then. I mean, I honestly think we could have won it. I think we could have gotten down to the end. Now, here's the problem. Here was always the problem for me. I had been saying to my group, hey, we've got to turn on Jeremy because he's going to win, and Tasha would not hear of it. She's like, no, we're just going to get to the end and we're going to fight it out. And I said to her, Tasha, if we fight it out, we're going to lose. Jeremy's going to win in that fight. That's there's no mystery there. And so I think the move I would have the thing I was always planning on and the move I would have tried to have made was to pivot with Kimmy and Keith at 5 and turn on Jeremy and Tasha there. That was my path forward. Mm-hmm. So if everything goes perfectly and all the immunity challenges line up beautifully, that's who I win against. Well, honestly, maybe Keith wins. So it's me or Keith winning. Although I feel like Kimmy had a lot of love from the jury. So
I have heard that.
Game. It's anybody's game. Me, Kimmy, and Keith. Truly could be. Maybe Kimmy and Keith split the that Bear vote, and I eke out a win. I think I get. I think I get Ryman's vote. He's not voting for Kimmy or Keith. No, I think I get Jeremy's vote. Honestly, do I get Tasha's vote, or is she mad? Ooh, this isn't looking so hot. I honestly don't know.
Yeah. With all due respect to Kimmy and Keith, I think you can out-talk them in the end.
I think Cass would have voted for me. She might have voted for Kimmy, actually. I don't know. That would have been a tricky one. I don't think they would give it to Kim. I don't know, though. You got $1 million, it's a real power. To give it to this mom, this single mom of 2. She's sitting there. She's sitting there, she got there too. So I don't know. I think it would have been maybe another humiliating runner-up loss. But this time with votes, this time I truly believe I would have gotten votes.
Yeah, I agree. It is interesting too the way the edit left out a lot of Kimmy's game when she was such a threat to win from everything we've heard. So
yeah. Truly, I do think it was more just her personality and being this mom, and in the same way, I just in general think that, juries, and I don't know if this is true anymore. I do think that sort of these new era people maybe are more abstract about it, but you do have this sense of this money can really change this person's life in a way. And I have this great power as a juror. That's all the power I have left in Survivor is to potentially gift someone $1 million. I wouldn't be mad about it if Kimmy got $1 million and I didn't, I wouldn't be obviously I would be disappointed to lose the season, but
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point because we even heard a few seasons later in Game Changers where Sarah Lucina wins, but some of the jury are like, we feel really gross about giving you this money, but you're the best player here. So like the emotions of it definitely come into play too. With that
Yeah, the Game Changers jury was a lot of like real gamers though, like wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like people who, and also it sounds like she really did play a great game from everything, you know, both on screen and off. It sounds like she really did sort of dominate that season.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, stuff that wasn't shown in Game Changers, I think should have been shown for her game, but
yeah, it's funny. Like she's never been a great confessional giver, which I think is always like kind of like hurt how people perceive her. But like everything people say is like she's just absolutely like I remember Sophie coming out of Winners at War and being like, oh my God, I thought I had this like amazing bond with Sarah. You know, just like she like creates these like deep, really personal bonds that she then kind of like leverages for strategic. And that's how you play a great game of Survivor.
True. Very true. Well, Steven, this has been great. If you wanted to promote your book, Escape, go ahead.
Yeah, if this is, I mean, you know, I truly believe, I believe in this book. You know, I wrote it. It's took me a long time. I put a lot of care and love into it. I think I truly believe if you are a Survivor or reality TV fan or viewer, like you will enjoy this book. I that much I know. Like you know, it's a lot of like, you know, maybe I can't speak to everyone in the whole world, but definitely Survivor fans will love this book. You can buy it at StevenFishbach.com. There's links out to buy it. Different, you know, certainly go to your local bookstore, go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Hudson Books, any of the booksellers that are out there, bookshop.org. I don't really care where you buy it. I would love it if you did buy it because I think you'll like it. And also, I want the sales numbers to look good.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll definitely have to go check it out. I do have a Books A Million right by my apartment. So that's the good news.
Pre-orders are so important. So a lot of people are like, this book doesn't come out till January. Why on earth would I buy it in July? Because pre-orders are literally life-changingly like important because of the way that it kind of affects the whole like business of like being an author in the world. Like honestly, like pre-orders are more important than orders. So Jake and Shane, my God, here I am on your podcast. You're telling me you haven't bought my book yet? This is outrageous. I'll sit right here while this happens.
Yeah, we will.
I never said I haven't bought it yet, but I haven't said that I have bought it either.
This is outrageous. I should have made this a condition of coming on. I can't believe this. This is outrageous.
We'll definitely
but I'm definitely going to check it out because I love reading. Haven't done a lot of it lately just because work's busy, but I love reading and I love reality TV. So
you don't have to read it.
You could listen to it, true, but
yeah, you could just buy it. Have it on your bookshelf. It's beautiful. It's a great cover. You know, put it on you know, wallpaper your house with the cover. It's beautiful. Buy like 1,000 copies and just make the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
I mean, I might need to go on Survivor and win to get the money for that, but I can definitely buy one copy.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Steven. This has been great to ponder the question of what if with you.
Thank you so much for having me out. It was really fun. Great. It was a great idea for a podcast and very fun to do.
Thank you. All right. Well, we'll see you for more Survivor What Ifs in the future next time on the Tribe of Nerds.